Larsson. Oh, he's in! Henrik Larsson! That is sensational! O'Reilly, how about that for a pass? Jota! How about that for a finish? That is Jota for you! In for Henrik Larsson, and Moravcik! His first goal for Celtic! Here is Shunsuke Nakamura! Exquisite!
Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the Celtic Unrestricted View. It's myself tonight, JP. Hope you're all well. Hope we've all had a lovely week. And we're looking ahead to the weekend. Another fantastic result for Celtic last night in the Europa League, which has ultimately put us in a position where we have went into the knockout phase of the 4-2 at Celtic Park. So we'll touch on a few things tonight, folks. We're going to touch on, obviously, last night's game. We'll touch on Sean Maloney's interview from today, speaking about the weekend's game against Falkirk. And, we'll look ahead to the game itself in terms of Falkirk and what kind of opposition that we're going to face. They're off the back of a great win against Hibs. They beat Hibs 4-1 the last league game. Prior to that, they knocked Hearts out the Scottish Cup, albeit in penalties, but they still got a good result there. I suggest the starting point is welcoming you guys that is, joining us across the platforms. I hope you're all well. As I said, folks, I hope everybody's enjoyed your week. I'll come to some comments, as I always do. Theo Isaac, you're in, pal. Good job. Very good evening to yourself. G-Doc, evening all. Hope you're well, pal. Francis Lester, very good evening, mate. Hope you're well. Francis says, evening trips. Hopefully a few signings in before the window shuts. DM McDonald, yes, JP. Hope you're well, mate. I'm very well, thank you. I've just been really busy. That's why I've not been on this week up until now. Mark McDonald, welcome in, pal. I hope you're well. Hope, as I said, the majority of have all had a very good week. As I said, folks, if you're coming across the channel for the first time, welcome to our Friday night show. Unfortunately, it's just myself tonight, just due to the way the things I've worked out. But not to worry, I will try my best and keep you all occupied. James Kennedy, good evening, pal. Hope you are well. You're in as well. Barry Boy 40, evening all. Good evening, mate. Hope you are well as well. Also, I think first off, folks, out of the folks that are in the comments tonight, who was all at the game? Who was at the game last night? Was any of you there, or were you watching it on the TV? DM McDonald, good win yesterday. Could have been much first draw. The way the scores were changing last night. Still think we need a centre half and a centre midfielder. Yeah, we'll touch on that. Let's just kick it off. I mean, last night's game. That's the first time Celtic have ever been 3-0 up in 20 minutes in their European history. So we kind of made a wee bit of history last night again. So that's the first time that's ever happened. We've done it plenty of times domestically, but we've done it now for the first time in the club's history, which is absolutely unbelievable. I mean, to think the amount of ties that we've went through in Europe and big teams that we've beat and other great results we've had through the years. To go and do that for the first time last night was remarkable, absolutely remarkable. To be 3-0 up, again, great start to the game. A former goalkeeper, Vasilis Barkas, obviously makes a blunder for the first couple of goals. Great bit of play for the first goal with Kieran Tierney, and then up pops the man of the moment, Benjamin Nigren, who he's enjoying a good bit of form just now. He's enjoying a good run of goals in the team. He's getting some games. James says he was at the game and it was Baltic. Yeah, I think surely you were heated up, James, though, with the first kind of 3 goals, mate. Guy 67 says atmosphere was like a friendly. Celtic don't play friendlies, though. Is that right? According to many through the years, so aye, we'll need to wait and see. Very good evening to you, Gary. I hope you're well, mate. Martin Flanagan, how we doing, lad? Good last night, but Stuttgart going to be different level if we don't get players. Yeah, I've seen a few people mentioning, obviously, Stuttgart and, I mean, there we go. So many different ways to watch your games. Watched it on the iPad, out doing deliveries. Were you up doing a Scotto last night with Big Alan? he's up in Maryhill Wingford in a scratch card run. But aye, as I say, it was one of those games, wasn't it? There was a small bit of pressure on Celtic last night, which you've got to hang your hat to them and say, well done, lads, because that could have been a banana skin potentially. I know Utrecht weren't in good form, but it's a European game, so it's not like another domestic game or potential lesser side that you're playing. I don't believe in any of that when you play in Europe at all, even though when you're watching the game they don't look that great. But again, Celtic have got to they've got to do their bit as well in the game to make it like that as well. But when you get a couple of early goals and it really starts to settle the team down, and then when you go that far ahead so quickly, I feel personally that you get to a point in the game where you become comfortable, and then you start to see that's when we started getting casual, and you start seeing players switching off and momentarily, and then they get their goal back. But there's a few players last night. There was times I thought we could have kept the ball a bit more. There was, don't get me wrong, I mean, there was some really nice passages of play in there, especially mid-sixes. I thought we were giving the ball away quite often. Andy Engels, I thought he was trying too hard last night. I just thought sometimes he was trying to rush things rather than just take your time, lift your head, compose yourself, and away we go. But sometimes that can happen. Paul Boyle, he says, I was there and my seat is in 404 in the North Stand. There we go. So if anybody's looking for Paul, there we go. You have to go to 404. Paul's up for cuddles and that and all his selfies, and he loves it all. Brilliant. Superb. You're probably right, Paul. Utrecht, I mean, I think I'm never going to sit here and disrespect a team and say they're utter crap like the way you've worded it yourself, Paul. They're in Europe, so again, you've kind of got to respect that aspect as well. They're there. So yeah. Coffee 23 says, I think I'm bad luck now. Do you mean in general, or what do you mean? What we're talking about? What do you mean? How are you bad luck? Is Nigren the worst best scorer in Celtic history? I Martin, I'll be honest, pal, I don't even know what that means. I don't know what that means, mate. I think I get what you mean. In terms of some games, he can be hot and cold. I think he's been a remarkable signing. I really, really do. I think what was it Celtic paid for him? Under £2 million. Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. So, yeah, I feel it's been a sensational bit of business, especially his goal return. I mean, you've got to just tip your hat to that alone. Big Jason, how are we, mate? Hope all is good, pal. Hope you're well. And, obviously, another good result for the Hoops last night. Francis says it was quiet. The Utrecht fans made all the noise. Yeah, to be fair, they brought a big ultra group with them as well, didn't they? I seen some videos on social media and stuff, and they were kind of marching from, from town to right up to Celtic Park, and it was quite a big following. So yeah, that's it. Barry, how are we, mate? Hey, big fella, thanks for coming on, giving us the content. Martin Neill has lost one game. JP, are you convinced by Yang? Some aren't still. I don't want to be the guy that sits here and says, I told you so. But I say that I think I've seen the guy play twice. And I think I told you, Barry, as well then. I can see a player in this boy. Yeah, I know it's took a wee bit of time to get there. But, he's unbelievable. I think he's just becoming better and better. I do not know what Martin Neill's put in his water or whatever it is, but since Martin Neill came in his first interim spell, you've seen a big difference in Yang. That even continued into the Wilfred Nancy period, where Yang, and albeit, by the way, he was played out of position. So, yeah, I really do think that Yang's, he's been in great form, I think, for a number of games now. And let's hope it continues. I just hope he's not peaked too early or touch any wood the way things have been, like in terms of injuries and that with us this season. I wouldn't like to see I wouldn't like to see that happening to Yang, because I think we would miss him. I really do. The dynamic he gives the team, the pace, he's running on and off the ball. I love how he's a good teammate as well. Barry, if you're still watching it, I love how he's a good teammate as well. He's not selfish. And if he's maybe not having the best of games, if he's not able to drop his shoulder and go by his man, he's still making sure he's a good teammate. He's getting in the way, he's getting back, he's helping his fullback. So I really do like that. I really do. And I love that energy. I really do. Francis, complacency, yeah. I think that can happen, mate, when you've got that kind of lead. And it's quite easy. I've played many games myself, mate, where you take your eye off the ball. So you start, not lose concentration, but you start thinking about other things. And you start to, your head starts to wander momentarily, and it can happen. In terms of against the better sides, the better sides, mate, are the kind of games that Celtic have got great concentration in. And that's, you look at Tynecastle, as much as that was a game we could have won. And the red card really changes the game for us, because at that point we're on top, and who's to say, we don't maybe create another chance or get another goal. But the concentration, I thought afterwards, in terms of not to concede a late goal, not to concede a winner for Hearts and stuff, I thought was very good. We've done the same in Bologna. So against better sides, mate, in certain moments, I think our concentration is absolutely fine. I don't think that's I don't think that's the issue. But I agree with you in terms of being so far ahead. I think, we need to be mindful that there's still a game there, and there was still significant time in the game as well, not to come off it. But sometimes it can happen. James Kennedy, I thought Casper was weak for their second goal. I thought it was a peach, James. I'm being honest, mate. I've watched it back a couple of times, mate. I thought the way the boy just wraps it round and in away from him. I know what people are saying, but for me personally, I think it's a peach. I think sometimes you've just got to say, do you know what, son, that's a good goal. I think it's a peach. I really do. People are saying he's kind of flat-footed for the first goal. Again, the boy David uses, I think it's Austin Trusty, he uses a guide and he just, curls it round. So sometimes I think, mate, rather than being overcritical, I think you need to look at it for the other side of things as well. And I think it's a very good goal. The boy's got great pace. Celtic are pushing in a different way there. They're pressing the game higher up the pitch, and yeah, it's just one of those ones. A ball goes over, and the boy latches onto it and just executes a great finish. Donovan for me was one of the best players in the pitch for Celtic last night, mate. I thought he was excellent. I thought his energy was really good. Loved his aggression when it was needed. He obviously offers a bit of height as well, because there was a couple of times in the first half they were trying diags from the over near the dugout side on their right back end, and they were trying to play it long, and Donovan just, he stood up to it really well, and I predominantly think Donovan's done really well in the Celtic team. I think there's maybe one or two games that you could maybe say he's maybe not been at it, but by the way, you could say that about the whole team this season. This season's been one of those kind of bizarre seasons where things haven't been in harmony, things have not been doing well, and but he's actually done really, really well. That's a lad that was nearly going on loan to Dundee not so long ago. So yeah, I think his first opportunity was it Martin O'Neill? Was it Martin O'Neill? No, it wasn't. It was Brendan Rodgers, wasn't it? He put him in against Red Star, and yeah, I thought he was very good in a very, very hostile environment as well. And yeah, for me, the boy, I thought he was very good against Bologna. And yeah, again, these are real tough places to go to, But he's learning. Yeah, he is learning. And I really do like Kobe Donovan. I think there's definitely something there to work with. I actually rate Kobe better than I do Tony Ralston. And I'm not saying Tony Ralston's a bad player by any means, folks. That's not my meaning. What I'm saying is I do rate Kobe because he's big, he's strong, he's fast, and he's got a different skill set to Tony Ralston, to his game, and he's no slow in getting forward. And I don't know if we're not privy to this, but I don't know if that's maybe Alistair Johnson working with him there, or a wee bit of wording in his ear, a wee bit of off the field coaching, because if you're a young lad going into that team and you've got a guy like Alistair Johnson and he's the guy you're trying to be, right? So he's the position you want to take, really. But Arajo's now there and he's performing well and he's done well. Who's the guy you're going to go to advice for? Alistair Johnson. You're going to try and speak to him and say, right, what would you do here and certain aspects of games, and how would you cope there, and what would you do rather than if you were up against a speedy winger, how do you cope with that? What way do you position your body? Do you show me outside? Do you show me inside? So a lot of that surely that goes on, man. Because if that's myself, I'm annoying the life right out of the guy that I'm trying to take his position. I'm getting in his head. I'm making a nuisance of myself to find out information, because that's the name of the game when you're young. You're supposed to be a sponge. You're supposed to soak in all the information you can. But I think guys like maybe Martin O'Neill, Shaun Maloney, Mark Fotheringham, Steve McManus, I think we've got a good bunch of guys in there. Taking away their relation to Celtic, I think we've got good guys in there that can give that sort of grounding mentally and develop them physically as well. Brown Warrior, a very good evening to yourself, sir. I hope you are well. Hope you had a nice wee week. So yeah, right. I've got a couple of, obviously, Shaun Maloney's interview today. I found it very interesting, folks, when he done the presser today. And I understand why he did the presser, because he's clearly given Martin a bit of time to himself. Martin's done quite a bit of media work on the last week or so. So yeah, I think just to kind of lighten the load a wee bit for Martin. Francis, I'll come to your Tenetke point, mate, because I think it's a good point, mate, that you've made. But I'm going to play a couple of wee clips here. That obviously Shaun, he was able to clarify a few things as well in this. So if anybody's not seen this is Shaun talking about the recruitment plan and how things have kind of been working since he's been there, working with obviously Martin and the guys. So I'll play this just now for you.
Martin landed you in it a few weeks ago, telling us all that you're taking a big role in recruitment. I don't know if you thank him for that. What does that role look like?
Not as big as what Martin let you guys say, but no, it's just working extremely hard with the recruitment department, with the recruitment analysts, with the board. I think Martin underplays his own efforts in it, because I don't think there's anyone in this building that watches more players than Martin. You have all the staff are doing the same, so we're kind of all chipping in at this stage. Just working extremely hard on it, but I wouldn't say that's just me. I'd say that's quite a few people, yeah.
So is that you taking players to Martin for him to have the final say on, or are you part of the final say, once it gets to that stage?
It's definitely Martin that has that final say, so I think once it gets to this stage, or the list of players, so I think it's, I wouldn't say I'm taking the players to that list. That's definitely a recruitment team. I think, as in most clubs, you generally get sent quite a few players, or certain players that you think are specific or could do a certain thing for us. There's loads of different sort of ways. We are definitely trying to change parts of the recruitment team, or maybe the process, not the team. It's just really specific. So I've been really happy with the two guys that have came. So I think Julian and Thomas are types of players or profiles that we haven't had. And then it's really specific that the ones that we want to try and bring in. And we feel that we've got a few that sort of do the things that we need, particularly on that right side. And then hopefully we can get them in.
So, as we heard there, obviously, Shaun telling us there that Martin O'Neill basically has the final say. So Martin's obviously the man in charge. I'm going to play another clip, and that brings me on to this as well. And obviously this gives an indication that, as much as we all don't want to see Celtic going down to the last couple of days of the window to try and get some players in, but it just goes to show that things have obviously changed, because we had a different plan under Wilfred Nancy, as it seems, and now, obviously, in a quick period of time, Shaun and Martin and the guys have had to start working hard on a different kind of profile And it is a different profile because, you know, you look at the height, the physicality, even Araujo, he's got good aggression, the height of Chivan Chara. You know, he's got good pace, he's dynamic, he can move. You saw that for his, you know, he set Young up at Tynecastle. He was unlucky himself not to be on the score sheet. He hit the bar with a header. So there's certainly a different outlook on the way that Martin and Sean and that are wanting to bring players in, and obviously, you know, add them into this group. But I'll play this second audio just now, and it kind of gives a bit of food for thought as well, and a small bit of optimism for us, which is a lot more positive than probably what we've had over the last couple of weeks.
In an ideal world, would you have had more business done up to this point in the window? Because I think it's something that fans have maybe grown a bit frustrated with.
I think that's tough because I think we don't. The really specific players we want to bring in, or types of players. I was really happy with the two that we brought in. I think the difficulty for the club is that we've obviously changed manager, completely changed structure to the previous guy. So I understand then that there is a period where the targets completely change. So really happy with the two that we brought in. And I think if we bring in another 2 or 3, it would be a massive help. But they have to be the right ones. I don't see there is no need to bring in numbers. It has to be the right type of player for what we need and what probably the team's lacking. So yeah, the two that we brought in I really like, but yeah, hopefully we can do 2 or 3 more.
Yeah, so a wee bit of optimism from Sean there, giving us, you know, hopefully 2 or 3 more. He's been quite clever there, Sean. He's not really specified in obviously what positions they may be, but I think we can all look at the Celtic team and we can all see that, you know, what kind of surgery might be needed. But again, Celtic fans aren't in charge of first team and recruitment, etc. But you look at the recruitment as a whole, you know, in terms of things have changed and the way things have had to change. And I'm really, really surprised, you know, at how quickly Sean Maloney, Martin Neill, and that have been able to start identifying these kind of players, because what was there before is a kind of sliding doors moment, because we don't know what was going to be coming in. So yeah, obviously, I mean, Sean does go on and touch on the interview that, you know, the work's been done. So he says it's now about closing it out now and getting the guys in, and that's what Sean says. He highlighted about the way that players are signed, and obviously, you know, how they've got to speak to the players, and there's quite a process there. And the way we go, I seen a comment. I don't know who it was in the chat tonight. I'll see if I can find it. Yeah, so Sugarman there. Hibs just took Dane Scarlett on loan to replace Bibby. They can move quick. Scarlett would do very well for Hibs. Wouldn't have been disappointed to see him with us. Well, first and foremost, I know nothing about this lad Scarlett, so hats off to you. You certainly know more than I do. But what I can significantly say is Hibs are not shopping in the same market as Celtic. They're not. Whether this lad Scarlett would be good enough to play for Celtic is neither here nor there. Hibs are not going and signing players that Celtic would. They're not. Hibs don't have a Benjamin Nigren in their team. They don't have Jota. They don't have a Cameron Carter-Vickers. They don't have an Alistair Johnston. They don't have a Rajo. They don't have a Rio Atati, a Daisen Maeda. The Hibs don't have players like that in their team. And if they did, they certainly wouldn't be sitting where they are in the league, you know. So it's a different thing altogether. You know, Hibs have sold Bowie for quite a bit of money. And yeah, they've brought this lad on. They've brought that lad in on loan from Spurs. So they haven't signed this lad permanently. So yeah, as I say, but I can categorically hang my hat on and say that Hibs are not shopping in the same market for players as Celtic. Nowhere near it. And I've always found that, you know, quite interesting when I hear Celtic fans and other fans say, well, we should be going for this guy. Like Maspanisi, his name's come up mega over the last couple of weeks, right? Now, he's had a good 6 months at Motherwell. No questions, right? And he's done very, very well. But I think I would be personally more excited if it was a Maspanisi that had been with Motherwell for 2 years and he'd been doing this. He's only 6 good months. Now, Celtic fans want Celtic to go and chuck £4.5 million or whatever it may be to bring this lad in to Celtic, right? So what if Celtic done that? What if Celtic just went, you know what, we'll bite the bullet, we'll go with that and we'll go and get him in. And then they go and get him in and then the boy absolutely tanks. What would the fallout be there? I always find this interesting when I hear this because £4 million, in my opinion, is a real gamble to bring a lad in from Motherwell who's had probably half a good season. And there is no guarantees whatsoever he comes to Celtic and he does well. Because a lot of you know, we've had guys like Chris Killen. I could go through lists of people, really, through the years who have really done well for the clubs down the league, you know, where they were, and they've came up and they've not done too well. You know. Scott McDonald's probably the last centre forward I can think of who actually did well for Celtic. And yeah, that's came from probably maybe Tony Stokes. But again, I mean, yeah, Luke McKeown, again, they're different positions. Luke McKeown's a different one. Sorry, Bernard, I was more or less meaning the centre forward position. David Turnbull did okay, mate. Yeah, he did okay, but again, there was a lot of the Celtic fans kind of didn't want him anymore, and that's why David Turnbull's now not with Celtic. Luke McKeown, £1 million. I mean, again, £1 million. Nobody's going to bat an eyelid at that, really, because again, he's came and he's contributed. You know, £4 million is a lot of money to just go and shell out for a lad, and you know, and he might not come and do well. Can we afford to take that gamble? Now, bearing in mind, folks, this is a season where we haven't been anywhere near our best, and we're not sitting at the top of the league just now. We're sitting third in the league. Obviously, there's a title challenge, and there's plenty more games and plenty more football to be played. I get all that, but in this moment in time, you know, can we go and sign a lad for £4.5 million and guarantee he's going to come in and start all of a sudden being the new Kyogo? No, we can't. We just can't. There is not one person out there that can tell me right now this boy's going to do well for you. They might say it in hindsight, and you know, and I hope that he comes and does well, all because he's playing well with Motherwell. Now, if he's, like I say, if he'd done this over a period of a number of seasons, then I'd be sitting there going, right, okay, right, this lad's a bit tested and proven, and especially domestic level. But there isn't, Regina. No, there isn't. But I believe, obviously I've played the game as well, Regina, so I believe when you've got a bit more than your CV, and I go back to what Sean Maloney quoted in terms of profiles, when you're looking at a certain type of profile, then there is more chance these guys are going to come and hit the ground running. We're not in a position, Regina, that we can sit just now and hope this guy's going to do well. We've not got 5-6 games for him to bed in either. We need somebody to come in and hit. That's what Sean Maloney's saying about it needs to be the right players. We need guys to come in and basically do what Jota done. Scott Sinclair. These guys exploded into Celtic. They exploded into the team and became instant heroes for us fans. So, well, Dougie, that's a fair point, mate. How much would we expect a team to pay us for a striker on 14 goals in the league? It would be way more than £4 million. Or Snobbery's holding us back with this one. I don't think it's Snobbery, mate. I don't think it's Snobbery at all. It's nothing to do with... I'll give you a great example, Dougie, right? Miovski. Now, when Miovski was at Aberdeen, the Celtic fans were going nuts. They wanted Miovski signed. And this was at a time where there was comparisons going up against him and Ida about who was better. Now, Ida scored goals for Celtic. Miovski's done very little for that team across the water. And Rangers spent £4.5 million on this guy. So, I think there needs to be a bit of calmness. I think we've got the right men, certainly, in doing the role for us. I do think we've got the right men doing that role. I do think the right men are doing the duty that they should be doing. Guys like Sean Maloney, Martin Neill. I do think because Martin Neill knows a player. And that's one thing. And Martin Neill is unbeaten domestically. And he's time back at Celtic now twice this season. He's unbeaten. And I think he's out of 4 games now. He's had positive results 3 out of the 4 games he had in Europe as well. So we beat Feyenoord, 2 wins and a draw? Beat Feyenoord, drew with Bologna, and now we've beat Utrecht as well. So, yeah, that's not bad considering, And I think it's a bright light coming into a very dark place at the moment because of everything that's been going on and off the pitch with Celtic this season. There's been a lot of noise coming out of the club, and for all different reasons, the media are going about their business, and they're going through the process and all to make things difficult for us. And the continuation of asking, Martin O'Neill's players coming in. Listen, Martin O'Neill will know what's happening. He's not going to sit and tell them. He will know. Well, Regina, that's good going considering what we've had over the last 2 seasons. Last season we were, a game away for another treble in my history. We got to the knockout phase of the Champions League. So we won a double. The season before that we won the double. Yeah, but this is what we do. This is why I think I've mentioned it a number of times now on this channel. This is why we have the transfer model that we have. Because we unfortunately just don't have the riches of what the Premier League does, or Germany, or Spain. So we've got to go and be crafty and try and bring in talent from... I mean, the lad we're linked to just now, this French lad, he's playing in Serie B. A team in Club Brugge earlier in the season by the Celtic fans were being championed by the way they do things, the way they run the football club. This is what they were doing. They signed players from the Bundesliga 2 and Serie B. This is how you've got to cast your net far and wide. We're a development football club. A lot of Celtic fans don't want to hear that. We're a big team and we're this and we're that. We're a very big team in a very small pond. And I'm afraid Scotland isn't the draw it used to be. I'll go back when Martin O'Neill was here the first time. So Scotland it's not that attractive. I think one of the comments tonight says the boy for Crystal Palace has chose Stoke. Many players we've lost players. We lost Stuart Armstrong to Southampton. Southampton aren't a big club. They're not massive. They're not challenging for trophies. They're not doing that. But this is what you're up against. We spent 1.5 million quid on Matt O'Reilly. We sold him for 30. What a humongous turnover that is. But Regina, we're not living in the past. We're not living in the past. We're only talking about you. You said the last 2 seasons. So I gave you examples of what you were meaning in terms of how things looked over the last two. I mean, it was only a couple of transfer windows ago that we actually smashed our record transfer fee for players. We signed Adamida for 9 million quid. He's been headhunted out the club. All because he wasn't doing enough and he wasn't doing. That's a guy who scored goals in the Champions League, by the way. Scored over 20 goals last season for the club. But a lot of your fans were saying he wasn't good enough and he needs to do more and he needs this, he needs that. So he was, Arnie Engels, we spent 11 million quid on him. And there's people actually saying, that he's no great, he's no this, he's no. So there goes even Mary, my point. So could you picture if we went and spent 4 million quid on this boy Maspanisi and he comes in and he doesn't do much and he turns out to be another. We spent 5 million quid on Balikwisha and look what's happening to him. He's getting absolutely slated left, right and centre. So this is what I'm saying. Recruitment is not an exact science. It never will be and it never has been. Has Celtic made mistakes and is there imperfections in what we do? Absolutely. 100%. No doubt about it. But in the here and now, it's not ideal going into the last couple of days of the window. I get all that. There is an anxiety because we're trying to win the league. We're trying to, but we can still have a very successful season. So we can still have a very good season. Celtic won the league, we won the Scottish Cup, and we managed to get to another couple of stages of the Europa League. That's going to be an unbelievable turnaround, considering Sean Maloney in today's interview was talking about the percentages of, it was less than 50% than Celtic actually, at the point of us, before we go and play Feyenoord away from home, the percentage was that Celtic weren't going through, that we would drop out now. By the way, we share a city with another football club who they've spent multi-millions of pounds and they finished 31st in the Europa League table and they're out of Europe altogether. This is another team who's championed for the way they do things and the way things are going and this, that and the next thing. So I think personally, I personally think we'll get the players in. I think we will. I think we'll get some bodies back for injury. Obviously, we've seen Iniacho. he was back. He'd be a very good addition to the squad. Saraki, obviously, he's back training now, so we will see that. But yeah, I'm not too doom and gloom about it all. I think we need to, we need to give them a chance. We need to see what Martin and Sean and that are going to deliver. Because as yet, we've not lost anything apart from the cup final, the League Cup final, and that was under a different manager. But Martin O'Neill's not lost. He's not lost as a Celtic manager, other than Midtjylland. By the way, we beat our biggest rivals in a cup semi-final under him as well. So Martin O'Neill's not lost any games. And we get a point against a team who's beat us twice this season. So, yeah, as I said, I think there's just an element of fear going around. And I get it, I understand it. I can totally get it. I think there's a fear, that Celtic are they're not going to do well this season. They're not going to win any silverware. They're not going to do this. They're not going to do that. And I can completely understand that. I get it. But I'm up for a fight, folks. I don't know if it's just me. I'm up for a scrap. I want to, I want to go toe to toe now instead of running away with the league. And I want to fight. I've said it a number of times now. I think if we win this league and we manage to get that over the line, this will be my favourite League One since I don't know how long I'm watching Celtic. Probably since we stopped Rangers doing 10 in a row under Wim Jansen. This will be my favourite League One since then. Just because of the way things have happened this season. So Martin O'Neill has galvanised the squad. He's galvanised the team, and he's been able to carry us before. And I firmly believe he'll be able to do it again. I also think players will come in, and the guys we've got out injured will come back, and they'll help the side negotiate these games. I really do. In terms of the game at the weekend, folks, obviously we've got Falkirk. I says earlier, they're in a wee bit of good form just now. They're off the back of beating Hibs 4-1. So yeah, we need to be on our toes. Yep, and obviously we've got Arajo. And this is the thing as well. Julian Arajo and Svan Chara, they can play in the next round of Europa now as well, so they can be added to the squad. We didn't have them through the group phase, so will that be a help? Of course it will. Absolutely, of course it will, because we've not had any of those options. So we'll just need to wait and see. Obviously, we'll get some new guys in, get them bedded in. I'm going to come back to Francis's point earlier about Tenecki. I don't know if it was just me with Tenecki last night, but he just looked out of sorts. And I said that for pretty early on. I think first minute he got the ball and he took a touch and he kind of clipped it back into Tierney, but it was the way he kind of done it, and I thought, that was really lacklustre and really, really, I don't want to say half-hearted, because I don't want to ever put that on professionals and, and say that they're doing things half-heartedly, but I think there might have been something wrong with him last night, Tenecki, and that's just me, maybe the virus, or I don't know. And Martin O'Neill's maybe took the gamble to play him in the game, hoping that he would still be able to create one or two. I mean, he opened a great chance up for himself, and he puts it out of the bar. Yeah, again, he's another one who's obviously a development player. He's definitely got something. I like to look at it, lad. I think he's got good skill. He's fast. He's dynamic. But for me, the goal against the goal in the cup he scored for us, he needs to do that more. He needs to do that more. He needs to get that. He needs to open his body up more and be working on that. And I hope he is through obviously his training and everything else. But he's one of those players, I think. He's one of those kind of guys that will frustrate you because one game he looks really good, the next game he's not himself. But I just didn't think I didn't think he was at it last night. Not because of his ability, but just plainly because of, I think there might have been something working on him, underlying him. He just didn't look right. Another one that kind of didn't look right last night as well, and he looked quite panicky, was Engels. I like Arnie Engels, I really do. I think he's got a lot of physicality. He's strong. He's got a good passing range. He's got more than one pass. He can play in tight areas as well. But last night, he was rushing things, and again, that can come down to heated at a moment. It's a big game. It meant a lot as well. Celtic needed to win to qualify, so there was big pressure on some of the players last night as well. Make no bones about that. I know people are saying that the atmosphere was quite flat and everything else, but listen, there would have been no flat atmosphere within that dressing room, because they would have known that anything bar a win last night could have been very harmful to their chances of playing Europa League knockout football. So I think they had to get that victory. And again, you've got to commend them for it. Hats off to them. I was really happy last night. I was really positive. We won 4-2 at home, and yeah. But Tenecki's one of those ones. I think he'll certainly get a bit more time, and obviously we'll need to see how that one goes. Certainly between him and Balikwisha, as things stand just now, Tenecki's going to be a part of the team more than what Balikwisha will be for the time being. Another one I wanted to touch on with is Paulo Bernardo. Again, he looked pretty decent when he came on last night. Keeps the ball really, really well. Comes on, spins the lad, gets a foul, gets Celtic up the park. At that point, Celtic couldn't keep the ball, and I think that was why Martin brought him on, because we kept turning over the ball in the midfield through the mid-60s. Their striker was kind of dropping into the 10. He was kind of trying to shield, try to shield Engels all the time. Kind of shield the ball away from him. Bernardo came on and he wasn't able to do it. He had to stay further forward. He wasn't. I noticed that last night. That combination very, very quickly disappeared when Bernardo came on. Bernardo's quite physical. I like that about him. He keeps the ball well. But again, could he be one of the ones that moves on? We won't know. But yeah, Addy, I get what you're saying, right? I get what you're saying, and I understand that. And I've spoke to a number of Celtic fans regarding Maeda. But what I will say, mate, is you've mentioned two players, mate, who give us legs all day long, and I don't think Celtic would have anywhere near the pace around us if it wasn't for both. Now, as much as Maeda, especially last night, as much as he's not been at it for me domestically, but I thought he was very good last night. But again, his Japanese gaffer was in the crowd last night. Moriyasu was up there sitting with Rio Atati, and that think Yang's gaffer as well from the Korean side, South Korea. I'm sure he was there as well. But Maeda's a funny one. I certainly wouldn't be selling him, that's for sure. I wouldn't be looking to sell Maeda. If we can keep Maeda to the summer, then I would do everything I could to to have him. Because he's certainly one of those players that can just spring to life. And yeah. He might do it in a game that's a lot more meaningful than last night, that could actually really help Celtic in a way. So I certainly wouldn't be looking to move him on, that's for sure. Unless the offer that we were to get for him would be too extreme that we wouldn't be able to ignore. Yeah, definitely, Chill. He's a menace, mate. He doesn't stop running. He certainly put Barkas on the back foot a few times last night as well. Yeah. Definitely. I think, he's certainly that menace as well. But, yeah, I know what people are saying. Yang's come right onto a game as well. I mean, Barry, earlier on in the chat tonight, asked me the question about Yang. And for me, Yang's got the jersey now. So it's up to whoever's coming in to fight Yang all the way. And, not only... I mean, Yang went from right wing over to the left. I think he's better coming off the left. I really, really do. I think he's much more effective coming off the left. I would like to see Yang playing more off the left. To see how because, I mean, the way he just eliminates people is just frightening. His legs are brilliant, man. If I still played the game now, he'd be one of the first guys in my 5-a-side team. He just doesn't stop running. I love it. I absolutely love it. The way he gets after people. So yeah, I really do enjoy watching Yang just now, and I'm watching him. He's playing me a smile on his face now, and I think that's what's most important. Yang was nearly out the door. Again, there's a sliding doors moment there. You look at Big Simunovic back in the day when Brendan nearly got rid of him to Torino. He failed a medical miraculously, and then he ended up in the Celtic team and being a being a mainstay. Now Yang, nearly at Birmingham, £3 million. He never made it. Ended up having to stay. And yeah, I've seen a couple of comments like this as well. Yang has had Kuhn levels of improvement. I mean, I think there's an argument to say that he's certainly filling a void that Kuhn has left. I mean, everybody in their granny could see that we've still not replaced Nicholas Kuhn. But Yang's certainly making that void seem a lot less worrying now with his performance levels. Because for me, he's one of the most important members of the team. Sean mentioned it today in the presser. The way we like to play down the right-hand side. This is what I'm saying about... You need to get the dynamics bang on. And I think Yang works well with Araujo. I've watched the two of them a couple of times, and Yang will drift inside, let him bombing up out on the outside. And we saw this with Kuhn and Alistair Johnston. We've seen a great relationship with the two. I quite like the idea of having a left-footed player coming in off the right as well, though. And it's kind of the other dynamic on the other side if you move Yang across. So, yeah. I quite like the idea of that. Because then you've got Yang cutting in on his right. And whatever lad comes in, cutting in off his left. Very similar to a kind of Kuhn or a Paddy Roberts or, So, yeah. But, Yeah, so obviously Falkirk, that'll be a tough game. I think they'll certainly make things. Well, they'll try and make things difficult for us. And yeah, they've got some good players. Calvin Miller's had a good season with them. Scott Baines, obviously, former Celtic player as well. He's had a great season with them. I'm sitting here yawning, man. It's been a long day, folks, I tell you. It's been a long week for me as well. But yeah, it's one of those ones. We just need to hope Celtic are fresh. I know it's going to be difficult because we just don't seem to be getting a break just now. We're playing a lot of midweek football. You know, and teams like Hearts and stuff are having weeks to prepare for games, like weeks at a time. So from a Saturday to a Saturday, or a Saturday to a Sunday, or they're getting 7 to 8 days of preparation. You know, they've not had to play European football. The team across the water, spent all sorts of money, and they've failed in Europe this season massively, tanked. So, yeah, but it's one of those things. It's you don't get a chance. I don't get a chance to, mate. I really don't. I've got two beautiful kids, 7 and 5. Keep me on my toes, mate. So I don't get a chance to. Lots of people enjoy the weekends. I love the weekends, but in a different kind of way for other people, because getting out and partying and all that, the days are long gone for me. But no, Joseph. Calvin Miller, he's good for the level he's at, mate, but he's nowhere near. He's nowhere near the quality of Yang, first and foremost. And he's nowhere near the quality to play for Celtic. He never was, which is why he was moved on, mate. That was the whole purpose of him not being in the Celtic team much. He got his small opportunities here and there, but again, a long list of them. Stephen Welsh, Anthony Ralston. I know they've been about the place quite a while now. You look at Mikey Johnston. Plunge says he'd rather re-sign Joe Muller. By the way, Joe was phenomenal. So, I mean, Joe's one of the lists that you can say he's came from a lesser club than Celtic and managed to make the jump okay and kind of do well. But no, Calvin Miller's at his level, and he's doing very well. He's making a good career for himself, and hats off to him. But my opinion, personally, I don't think Calvin's anywhere near good enough to come and, you talk about Celtic, right? You talk about Celtic, you're challenging for, you're challenging on all fronts. You're trying to play domestic games, you're playing cup games, you're playing, if you're fortunate enough, you're playing international football, you're then playing in European competitions. Some of these lads are nowhere near good enough to do it. They're just not got it about them. And that's fair enough. It happens, it certainly happens. But yeah, as I say, it's all good. It's all good at the time. Seeing these boys doing well for Falkirk, and this is what I was saying earlier on, folks. Like, all of a sudden, a certain player does well. We've done that. Celtic and Rangers used to do it. I'm going back with the old Rangers were still here. Celtic and Rangers were predominantly favourites for that all the time. Darius Adamczyk's. Celtic did it with Momo Silla. All right, Big Momo did okay, but he was nowhere near. He was nowhere near good enough to play in that Martin O'Neill team week in and week out. Rab Douglas, look at Big Rab, went on and made a career with Celtic. again, people can make up their own minds whether they think he was the best. Did he? But he's one of the JD. He's another one of the kind of smallish mate that's able to go and take that step up and do. And this is a guy, by the way, started as a striker. He was a centre forward when Celtic signed him. He played centre forward for Hibs, and Martin O'Neill turned him into a right wing back. So just think about that for a wee moment. That's all I'm saying about Martin O'Neill having an eye for a player and what he can do with him and etc. Steve Guppy didn't do well for us, mate. No, he didn't. He came up and gave his pals a cuddle and held the jackets while the boys were doing well. But Steve Guppy, I don't think he did well. I certainly don't think he was anywhere near good enough. He maybe one or two good games. Jamie Smith had one or two good games, I know, but I didn't mean to say he was good enough to play with Celtic week in and week out. I personally didn't think Steve Guppy done that well. Again, that was I don't want to say a pals act, but it was a transfer that could get done because of the connection he had with Martin O'Neill, Neil Lennon, etc. Steve's went on and he had a great career in the game. He was brilliant with Leicester, but personally I didn't think he done well. He never played a lot of games for us to see that. Another one that goes to mind there is another one that played Premier League football, Michael Gray. Michael Gray comes up and again, for whatever reason, he just can't get in the team. So Celtics, it's I'm not saying Steve Guppy was a bad player. I don't think he done as well as what people are thinking. He never threatened Alan Thompson's place in the team, that's for sure. And when Tomo wasn't there and Steve came in, no disrespect, but you certainly noticed the difference. The quality and everything. Merlin, listen, plunge your comment there about Ryan. Ryan had Merlin one or two good games for Thistle, mate. He'd Merlin one or two games, he's got trophies, medals to prove that. The wee man done all right. He done okay. But Falkirk, tough tie. A team that likes to play on the front foot. They're quite expansive. Like John McGlynn's a manager, I think he's done very, very well. I think he deserves a shot at a bigger job, such like the Aberdeen job, or if a job like that was to come up in his vicinity, I think John would be good to go and try and acquit himself at a bigger role. I know he's done that with Hearts already, but for whatever reason, it never really quite worked out at Hearts for John. But I think he's been absolutely sublime with Falkirk, and I think his team play good football. So I'm kind of looking forward to the game. What we're thinking, folks, in the comments, what kind of team do you think Celtic will put out on Sunday? Because bearing in mind, obviously we've got Big Tam up front, Arajo can come back in, and Iheanacho's now fit. Saraki might be about the squad, so which in my opinion is well needed. I think Kieran Tierney's kind of battling through pain just now. I can't help but think something's underlying with Kieran, and he's doing remarkable. I mean, the boy's a machine to still get through. I mean, he could barely walk coming off at Tynecastle, and then he's played nearly the full game last night. Gone for about a minute or so left of the game. Martin O'Neill chucks on Dane Murray, and I thought he was tremendous. Kieran Tierney, he was really good. Great back play for the first goal. Obviously, we don't have Austin Trusty. So, what are we thinking, folks? What do we think is going to happen in terms of the team? And then, obviously, once I see he's putting in some teams, I'll have a wee look through, and then how can I give my thoughts on how I would go about the game and the team I would see. I would see play. I don't think Welsh will play Chill. I think there could be an opportunity for Welsh still to go back to Motherwell, mate, before the window closes. Because that's certainly all he can do. Because he's already now played for Motherwell and Celtic this season, so he can only go back to Motherwell. So there could be still something there in that. Mr. Nobody, what about Lennon saying he had no problem with his signings? He has short memory. Ask him about Joe Ledley. Try not to upset Dermot for any future jobs. I don't even know what that means, mate. I've no idea what that means. Joe Ledley was an absolutely unbelievable signing for Celtic. So I don't know what do you mean? Was he not happy with? Maybe I've missed something. I don't know. Was Neil Lennon not happy with Joe Ledley, or was it something else? I'm not sure. I don't know. Joe Ledley was an unbelievable servant to Celtic. So Lennon certainly had an eye for a player, bringing him in. Yeah. So he didn't want. All right, okay. Was it when Joe Ledley was leaving the club? Sorry. All right, okay, right. Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, I think that was the issue, wasn't it? I think the Celtic. What was it Celtic got for Joe Ledley? Was it about £8 million? It was about £8 or £9 million we got for Joe Ledley, wasn't it? When he left the club, and I think even then that was extreme money, considering what Joe had given Celtic. And because prior to that, I mean, one of the biggest transfers out of Celtic then was Aidan McGeady, wasn't it? And £9 million over to Spartak Moscow. So those kind of transfer fees were, well, neither here nor there. No, John, I don't think it was 4 million, mate. I think it was more than 4. I definitely remember 8 stuck out my head somewhere. I think it was £8 million. It was between 8 and 9. Yeah, I think it definitely wasn't 4. It wasn't as low as 4. I definitely think it was around about £8 million. I'm sure Celtic got a good payout on him, because we get £6 million on Key. And Key played in the same team as Joe Ledley, Key Sung Young, and that was good going as well. So yeah, I think it was at a point where, again, it comes under the Celtics model, doesn't it? I can't even remember. I'm trying to rack my brain now just in this moment and think, who did we bring in when Joe Ledley left? Stefan Johansson, wasn't it? I think we paid, was it £2.5 million we brought in Stefan Johansson for? Who, again, was unbelievable, Yeah, they definitely. Yeah, he was in his 30s. That's right. Yeah, and again, you're probably not going to get offered that amount of money again on a guy that age. As much as Lennon, I think he meant in general in terms of the way the board worked with him for players. I think that's what he was meaning in terms of, because Neil Lennon, as far as I was aware, he was able to bring the players. He was able to bring the players in that we wanted. Patrick, I'm not sure. Was it Crystal Palace we sold him to? I thought it was Crystal Palace he went to when he left us. I might be wrong. I might be wrong. Again, that's just my head here. But yeah, I think it was Crystal Palace we sold him to, but we replaced him with Stefan Johansson. If my memory serves me right. Stefan came. He came in the January Monday, and Johansson, he was unbelievable. I know he came perfectly for us, and he fitted in like a glove at that point in time. But yeah, because it was after Joe Ledley, we signed Big Van Dijk, and it was after Joe and that had been and gone. We kind of, I thought Joe was outstanding. He was a great player for Celtic. So yeah, and Stefan Johansson was unbelievable as well. He was a great servant for us. Again, and this is what I go back to, folks, as well. I mean, as much as, you know, we've brought in players who haven't worked out for us, and, you know, they've not done well for us, but we've had a lot of great talent and players, and we've brought in a lot. I mean, I've just mentioned Virgil van Dijk. Jesus, man, he's a captain of Liverpool now. He's won the Champions League, he's won the Premier League, he's, you know, yeah. So again, it goes back to talent spotters and the way we bring players in. And I think we bought Virgil for, was it £2 and a bit million for Groningen at the time, and we sold him for about £10 million. Remarkable, unbelievable. And there's been many deals like that through Wanyama. There's another one. Big Wanyama. Frimpong. Great shout, Stephen. Yeah, Frimpong. Man City didn't even have a buyout clause in him either. So yeah. But yeah, there's been lots of really good players through the years, and I do get that kind of brings me back to my point earlier when I said that recruitment's not an exact science. It never will be. You know, there is always going to be that one or two bad players that will come through the football club, and maybe, I don't want to say bad players because they're professionals, right? So they're just not able to do what we're asking them to do, and they don't have that. Right, so I stand corrected then. The 8 figure I had in my head was there for a reason. I thought it was 8 million. I'm havering then, totally. Friday night stuff, havering. It was 800,000, but I knew, thank you, Francis, I knew there was an 8 somewhere in it. That's what it was. But aye, he was 32 years of age as well. So we probably weren't going to get much more than that on him at the time. But yeah, we've had a lot of, I mean, we could probably do another podcast on this. He's, you know, oh, was he? Right, okay, so there we go. I didn't even know that. I knew he left kind of in the January window. I knew that. I never even knew he was out of contract. There you go. So again, the club have cashed in. You know, and that's something that we do well, in my opinion. You know, you look at our counterparts across the city, they had like Morelos, Kent, they were on good contracts. They let the contracts run down and they get absolutely nothing for the players. You know, we cash in players. We get ourselves, you know, a handsome profit for our efforts to bring these guys in. But we've had lots of really good, talented lads through the years, and we've brought in a lot of good transfers as well, as much as we've brought in a lot of bad. But I don't know if it's just me, folks. I just think there's enough negativity going around just now, and I'm wanting to be the opposite. I want to be a bit more positive, a bit more different and looking on to the way things are. And Martin O'Neill's back, and I think once this transfer window shuts, then we can settle a wee bit, get the squad together, and then really go and try and see if we can do something this season. Now, it might not be the case. It might be, that we fall short. But that's been a catalogue of mistakes that's been made this season, both on the field and off the field, that's culminated in this. But we done this in COVID, and we never done well, and we lost the 10 in a row, and tough times don't last. They don't last, especially for Celtic. They don't last very long for Celtic. And to be fair, folks, in a way that I can't grumble too much as a Celtic fan, because I've been able to endure years and years of domination, years and years of success, and maybe that, again, me and Ryan have a kind of long-standing joke here in the channel, and maybe that's why I don't get annoyed, folks. Maybe maybe because of what I've witnessed. I've always said on this channel that there is going to be times Celtic don't win the league. There will be seasons that Celtic don't win the league. There will be, and no matter what way you look at it, whether that be you spend tons of money and you don't win the league, and you don't spend money and you don't win the league, to not win the league, whatever way you do it, there needs to be elements of mistakes in there. There needs to be, you're not getting results, you're not doing this, you're not doing that. But one thing I can assure folks is we do have a man at the helm in Martin O'Neill who's been around the block many a times, and with him in our corner, folks, I've got great confidence that we can do something good this season. I really have. And I think we will bring some players in that can really help this side and really help the team. And I think it's going to be players that's, like I said earlier, that guys that are not going to take 6 weeks, 7 weeks to come in and bed in and show their personality and flex their muscles a wee bit. And it's going to be guys that's going to come in and boom, like Shiv and Chara against Hearts, setting up goals, hitting the bar, making himself a nuisance, getting involved, being physical, getting in about it. I think it's going to be guys like that. I really, really do. So I'm not going to bore you to tears anymore. Mary Moynes, very good evening to you. Good solo show, JP. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I really do. I appreciate everybody who's joined in tonight with me. Thank you very much for all your input. It's always welcome. And it gets made easier when we're chatting about Celtic. And I've always said it, folks, there's never a dull moment with Celtic. There's always something. Patrick, Raheem Sterling on a free. I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure we're at that point of the night yet, Patrick, to be on the hard stuff yet. But obviously you've now took that literally, pal. But all the best to you. But yeah. Listen, folks, let's just try and enjoy what we've got coming up. We've got the next round of the Europa League. Some teams in this league don't even have Europe to look forward to now. We do. So, yeah, as I say, and whatever's going to be out of the rest of the transfer window, whatever's going to be is going to be, and that's it. But we prediction there from Paradise Huddle, 2-0 to Celtic versus Falkirk. I'll take that all day long. I'll take 1-0. I've said that all along. I'll take 1-0 between now and the end of the season. Ask Modric if he fancies a laugh. Well, you can do. Get him on FaceTime. I've got a couple of jokes. I'm pretty sure it'll give him a wee tickle. Aye, 100%. I'll give him a laugh. Tell him to tune into one of my solo podcasts, Robert. And that's probably all the laughing he'll need today. But if any of you are going to the game on Sunday, take care. enjoy. Hope you enjoy it. It's pretty cold. You know, it's pretty cold outside, and aye, bit nippy. But here's hoping Celtic can get us off our seat with a few goals again on Sunday. But above all else, have a lovely weekend. Take care, and we will see you all again at the start of next week. Bye-bye.
Sets up Larsson here. Larsson. Oh, he's in! Henrik Larsson! That is sensational! O'Reilly. How about that for a pass? Jota! How about that for a finish? That is Jota for you! In for Henrik Larsson. And Moravcik! His first goal for Celtic! Here is Shunsuke Nakamura! Exquisite!